Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, depending on where you're connecting from. Welcome to yet another Citrix Ready technical webinar, where we showcase how Citrix and our partners have integrated to deliver valuable products and solutions to common problems faced by our customers. We are pleased to launch the Citrix Ready Secure Remote Access program today, where we'll be working with many of you to address key security challenges of our times. I'm Anil Kumar. I'm a technical marketing manager in the Citrix Ready program. Have been with Citrix for a little over 3 years and have had the privilege to work with many of you to validate and integrate your products with Citrix's solutions and do a lot of technical marketing activities around that. And we have our main speaker with us today, Florin Lazurka. Hi, Florin. Welcome to the webinar. Could you introduce a bit about yourself, please?
Yes, thanks, Anil. So yes, Florin Lazurka, I'm a Senior Technical Marketing Manager for Security at Citrix. I've been here just shy of about 13 years, working in various teams, including professional services, pre-sales, and our demo center. And I've been focusing on security for the last about 2.5 years.
Great. Well, welcome once again, Florin. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
All right. And before we move on, I just wanted to introduce everyone to about Citrix Ready and what we do here. Citrix Ready is a partner program where we identify recommended solutions that are trusted to enhance your Citrix's environment for digital workspace, networking, and cloud services. All the validated and tested products are featured in Citrix Ready Marketplace. And these products have gone through thorough verification testing and thereby providing added confidence and joint solutions compatibility for our mutual customers. And what we also do is all these third-party solutions which are validated on Citrix as published and showcased in Citrix Ready Marketplace. You can find the links below to browse to Citrix Ready Marketplace. And if you are a vendor and you have a product which you want to validate as Citrix Ready and want to know more about Citrix Ready program, you could visit citrix.com, browse to partner programs and Citrix Ready. But we'll be sending out links for these websites in our follow-up email. So as for today's agenda, Florin will walk us through some of the security challenges in today's time. We'll see some of the key categories which we've identified and think it is very important to address in IT environments. And we'll see how Citrix helps in each of these in addressing each of these security challenges. And then I'll provide an introduction about what we are trying to do as part of the Citrix Ready Secure Remote Access Program launch and the many benefits which you can leverage once you qualify for the program. So with that said, I want to hand it over to Florin to walk us through the agenda. And And just one housekeeping item, if you have any questions during the webinar, please use the questions panel and go to meeting control panel. We'll be addressing all your questions at the end of the webinar. So Florin, it's all yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. So when we're looking at some of the security challenges that are out there today, I think the message is it's very complex. The number of attacks are not only growing, but the complexity and the sophistication of attacks. And here are just a few. Some of the older ones and good ones are the Trojan horse attacks, software that's downloaded that creates backdoors and access to your environments, software that steals information, combination of these softwares, hybrid malwares, ones that are not looking for information, but they're just there for extortion, such as ransomware. You may have denial of service attacks that are designed to either harass or as a smokescreen for other attacks, or maybe just for extortion themselves. And then you have attacks that are focused on frequently visited locations and websites, or call watering hole attacks. Basically, think of it where all the animals go to drink, then you have the attacker waiting there. Then there's custom tool sets that are sophisticated, chained attacks that are based off of stealing credentials, gaining higher privilege within environments, from there installing software. And it's a multifaceted approach to attacks where we're looking at identity, we're looking at access, abusing and exploiting access and poor credentials or harvesting credentials. So there are many kind of attacks, and there's a reason for this. It's mainly because it's a huge, not only is the malware and the attacker, the adversary side of it is a huge business, but it's also a huge business concern for the enterprise and for us. They're just highly motivated, right? They're driven primarily by monetary gain. There's other reasons, such as nation-based attacks. There's also attacks that are based on hacktivism and so forth. But primarily, we're looking at monetary gain. And when you combine that with a slower than normal average time to breach discovery, where you may have the attacker within your environment for months before they're discovered, and the cost of the breach and the average cost of confidential information, we're looking at a big business that's sprung up, a cottage industry of smaller ecosystems that work together to create malware, to also package it. And we're starting to even see in the last year or two a as a service platform set up for malware and ransomware, as well as other type of attacks. When we look at the impact on the reputation of a business or an enterprise, looking at potential loss of share value, turnover at the executive levels. We're looking at stock value. It can recover, but there's a initial hit on there, and then there's obviously an impact on customer retention as well. When you combine a highly motivated attacker, large impact on the victim, and then the fact that there is an industry-wide shortage of security skills, you're getting a perfect storm where you have over 1 million unfilled security jobs, and even though companies are planning on to increase their cybersecurity teams, they just may not have a pool of people to hire from, and this is obviously driving up the cost of those resources as well. And then combine that with additional regulation around data protection, as well as compliance requirements. You start seeing that there is an issue here that needs to be addressed. at a holistic level and more comprehensively. That all being said, there's the other side of the problem, and that is that the way that employees and the way that companies work and enterprises work is different than it used to be. Work itself is more distributed. It's not contained within the four walls of a branch or a headquarters. We have branches and remote users more and more expected for future and younger workers and even older workers. You still have main office and travel users, and they need access to the applications and the data. And those applications and that data is no longer just the traditional on-prem or customized apps. Those still may be in the picture. They're very valuable. They provide a service. But now, with the SaaSification and the cloudification of many applications, you may have a number of organizations out there that are going to be moving hybrid mode, where you have a combination of traditional apps as well as the SaaS apps, or you may just go completely SaaS. So now the challenge that we have on the IT and networking professional and security professionals is, how do you maintain that security control, that visibility, that protection to those users when they're no longer accessing applications and resources that are within your domain? They're no longer controlled by you. What can we control? So this is where Citrix helps, and this is where, looking at the workspace, Citrix provides the visibility and the control, and the partnerships that we've done provide the protection to user access and security. So the way we look at security is taking a people-centric approach to security. And visually, it looks something like this. The traditional look at security says, build a castle and a moat, build a drawbridge, those are your access points, and focus everything, put all your eggs in that basket and protect it very well. The problem is, when you are focused on the traditional approach, you tend to be focused on preventing attacks. And as I mentioned earlier, the number of attacks are exponentially growing in terms of sophistication and in terms of complexity, and just the number of different ones that are growing as well. So trying to build a security environment that is purely focused on preventing unknown attacks ends up being a catch-up game. And we see that with all the zero-day base attacks that are being sold on the dark web, or being sold on the dark markets for tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's an arms race for discovering the attack that will not have a defense against. So our look at it is, let's focus on what we do know. We know the user identity. We know that what they're supposed to do. We have a baseline of certain metrics from that person. We know where they connect from. We know what applications they should be accessing. We know their identity based off of certain parameters that we've identified. So we know who they are and we know what they should be doing. And everything out of that is outside of that baseline starts putting up red flags, and we can control those. And that means we can control where the policy is applied. Do we apply security policies at random or certain network devices, or do we put it at a more holistic access point, which is the digital workspace? This is where we control the whole security experience as well as the performance experience for the user. We also look at, from a performance standpoint, the traditional model forces a user to go through typically a convoluted user experience. Connect through a certain device, do a certain thing. Performance may not be the highest item on, or the user experience may not be the highest item that we're considering. As opposed to when we're people-centric, we're able to follow that user wherever they are. So again, if we're into that mode where we have remote, we have home users, we have traveling users, we have users in different geographies, they get the security as well as the user experience. And we're moving away from having a primarily a zone trusted type of scenario where you have a known perimeter to a perimeter that is following the user. So it's a secure digital perimeter that is based on that user. It's still very much a perimeter, but it's not a perimeter that's locked down to specific buildings or specific devices. And it's one that is more flexible based on the context of those user interactions with the data and with those apps and the network. And what that really means is instead of having a series of doors and locks where if someone happens to get the key, they get free reign, it's more of a system of detectors where we're checking what that person, even if they have access, we're checking what they're doing. We're keeping an eye on what is acceptable end user behavior. So visually, when we're looking at this securing the workspace and the network, the secure digital perimeter, you have all these applications, whether they're virtualized, whether they're SaaS, whether they're custom and traditional. This complexity is all bundled together, but the access and the security that's afforded for it does not have to be complex. Right? So we're focusing on a few items such as having a unified experience. And from a security standpoint, a unified experience may not sound as a security item, but it can be, because once users find friction at access, they find workarounds, and they typically find the least secure workaround. Now, this also involves not only contextual access, but also performance, right? So performance and availability of resources are very important to security. There is no reason to secure access to applications if the performance or the availability is poor. They go hand in hand. Now, let me switch over into the next section. But in summary, what we're looking at is a people-centric perimeter, one that is not really tied down to specific walls and specific trusted zones. It does not mean it precludes them. It does not mean those are not required. It's just a more focused security perimeter that is more intelligent than just having a set of access control lists and network access control lists that are not user aware. And when we look at Citrix Workspace in the context of security, we're looking at providing this contextual and secure access to both SaaS, web, and virtual applications. So we're covering the gambit of applications, not only desktops, not only VDI, not only virtual applications, but web, cloud, and SaaS-based applications. And we're looking at connecting from any device and providing that device security as well. With the whole goal is to reduce that exposure to both insider and outsider threats. And you really can't reduce exposure to insider and outsider threats without knowing who is an insider and who's an outsider. And when you're dealing with users, you're looking at them sharing content and collaborating with content. data, files, sensitive information, whether it's healthcare or credit card information. How do they share or user information, patient information, and share that information while still being in compliance and reducing risk and meeting the obligations of the specific industry. As I mentioned before, continuity and availability is a big component of security. Having those resources accessible at all times is one of the core components there. And the next generation of security is around user behavior analytics, right? So having these visibility into what is baseline, what is allowed traffic, and what is out of that baseline, what is out of bounds. So when we look at the key security categories that we're working with Citrix Ready here, is in general, if we look at technology and application delivery, we look at providing resources to our end users and to our employees. It's complicated. There's a number of productivity-based solutions out there and features and functions that different applications provide and that end users require and they expect from you. Those all speak to many different components. There's a level of integration required. There's a level of integration required with identity and single sign-on, passing on credentials for not only securely but also for a good user experience, so that people don't end up writing their passwords down on stickies. Providing that role-based access. We're also looking at things like in the middle of the network, right? Load balancing and availability. How do you provide network links to multiple branches, and if one goes down, there's availability and performance as well. If in case one of them is not down but is acting poorly, encryption, data center load balancing. We're looking at the endpoint. We're looking at endpoint management, enterprise endpoint management. Looking at application device management. We have VDI, we have SaaS-based apps. In the middle here, we're looking at cybersecurity, and this is where the focus is going to be for this conversation. And there are things like, user and entity-based behavioral analysis, IPSs, WAF as a service, right? There's different components within cybersecurity and threat detection. So when we're looking at for threat detection, we're looking at endpoints. We're looking at being able to look at advanced malware. We're looking at being able to provide that provide protection to things such as DDoS attacks and more advanced attacks that are out there. When we're looking at that, we also may look at software that's installed on the server side as well, not only on the endpoints. When we're looking at identity and access management, this is a lot about authentication and passing those credentials, whether it's two-factor, multi-factor, one-time password. We're looking at biometrics, multiple different parameters that come off of, and telemetry that comes off of mobile devices, using capabilities within mobile devices such as the accelerometers or the cameras to identify users and make sure that they're properly identified. When we're looking at security monitoring, we're looking at things such as integrations with security events, incidents and events monitoring platforms. We're looking at things such as security operations and analytics platforms, being able to automate and automate the workflows and the responses, incident responses. We're looking at data security, Once you have access to that data, the user is making modifications, maybe sharing that data. How do we keep that data secure with information rights management and data loss protection or data leak prevention? On the cloud security side, we're looking at things such as cloud security access brokers, functionality within the cloud for when users are connecting to resources that IT does not control. When we look at a visual of that, you start seeing where the pieces fall together. Now, looking at a traditional Citrix environment, we start seeing that the endpoints are connecting through a Citrix ADC or a gateway. They're accessing a storefront from their workspace where all their resources are available. They have their applications, or they may be applications that are virtualized. They may have a browser that's embedded. They may be using a VDI or a desktop that's sitting on top of a hypervisor, in this case a Citrix hypervisor. Now, some of the resources that they may be accessing are on-prem, and some of the resources that they may be accessing are internet or SaaS, and some are intranet. Now, when we're looking at accessing these external resources, they may connect through some sort of web filtering, or some of these web applications may need some web application firewall protection. So let's take a look at just that was a normal workflow. Let's look at it, combining it with some of the partnerships here. So as I mentioned earlier, the threat detection is the antivirus, the anti-malware, the ransom detection functionality. It doesn't have to be just on the endpoint. It could be on the network. It could be on the server side as well. It could be on between the endpoint and the cloud as well. Identity access management. We're looking at the largest integration there is with the ADC, things like Radius and single sign-on and SAML federation and OAuth, anything that proxies and brokers those credentials to do single sign-on to multiple resources in the back end throughout the whole user connection. When we're looking at security monitoring, as I mentioned, this is for identifying the end user behavior as well as the threat detection within that network as well. So security monitoring, we're looking at things like security ops as well as the incident response. And there's a number of functionality that's provided by multiple vendors out there that we can climb into, that we can integrate with. And data security, as I mentioned before, DLP, IRM, you're working with files, you're sharing files. How does IT keep control of some of that content, that data, once that file, that object leaves the organization? And cloud security, as I mentioned before, we're looking at your web filtering, URL filtering, reputation services, functionalities of secure web gateways, as well as being able to put policies, enforce policies on that traffic from the end user to these SaaS-based applications for CASB in this case. So let me turn it over to Anil to talk about the Citrix security ecosystem. Anil?
Thanks, Florin. I think that was a wonderful overview of the current security challenges and very much aligned to how Citrix can help together with our partners. So today we are happy to announce the launch of the Citrix Ready Secure Remote Access Program. We did the phase 1 of this program back in the year 2016 and announced the results in 2017. On the screen, you can see some of the key security partners who participated during that time, and some of the collaterals and joint webinars which we did with a lot of these partners. So in phase one, we had picked 5 categories, which included identity and access management, application security, network security, data security, and monitoring and response. But we've changed a little bit this time with this launch. At Citrix, like Florin highlighted earlier, we recognize that the workplace and the work itself has changed. It's more dynamic, it's more flexible and vulnerable than ever. And we at Citrix, we deliver solutions to help companies deal with this new reality and enable employees to work the way they want, while giving IT the confidence that their applications, information, and devices are safe. And our intelligent digital workspace solutions enable employees to access all these applications that they prefer to use in one unified experience, and also provide IT with a single control plane through which they can onboard and manage application performances without getting in the way of the user experience. So let's see how Citrix and our partners like you can really work together to address some of the key security challenges which were mentioned earlier. Because at the end of the day, we all know no customer will want to will have products from one security vendor securing their entire IT infrastructure. Technology partnerships are very important, and we really want to work with many of you to build valuable solutions to our mutual customers to provide that enhanced experience of secure remote access. Next slide, please. So with the launch of Citrix Ready Secure Remote Access Program, we are providing this unique offering through which many security organizations have the opportunity to integrate, test, validate, and showcase your solutions in conjunction with Citrix's technology. And it's designed to ensure that companies provide secure contextual access to all the business apps and data within Citrix environment, regardless of who it is providing access to. So this year the program is open to technology companies offering security solutions in the 5 categories displayed on the screen. The first one is identity and access management. Like Florin mentioned, these could be products which enables single sign-on through various protocols like SAML, Radius, providing multi-factor authentication, and many others. The key is the products have to have interoperability or integration with Citrix's product. The second one is cloud security. Like we've mentioned earlier, that there is a lot of users, employees, and companies who are using a lot of SaaS applications. Some could be sanctioned by IT, some could be shadow IT, and there's this whole shift of hybrid and multi-cloud infrastructure. So securing access to cloud is very important, and we are looking for vendors like cloud access security brokers, cloud web firewalls, secure web gateways, and others in this category to participate. The third is data security, where products like DLP and IRM, information rights management, are very critical to ensure confidential data within a company stays very secure. The fourth one is threat detection. This includes products like endpoint protection, endpoint detection and response, bot detection, antivirus, DDoS mitigation, and many products like that. And the last one is a no-brainer. With all these security uh, uh, products in place, we need monitoring and response capability in place uh, to ensure uh, the alerts and anomalies are detected and prevented well in advance. And some of the products include the SIM and SOAR tools, the user and entity behavior analytics, and similar. So these are the five main security categories which we've identified, and we are looking for when partners and prospects who have security solutions in one or many of these any of these categories, which can integrate with Citrix's product to enhance that security around Citrix's workspaces. And next slide. So what's the qualification criteria? So like I did mention, if you're a security vendor with products or solutions in any of the five categories, and if you have an interoperation with any of the Citrix's products, you will be you'll automatically qualify for the program. Uh, the, our team would do thorough testing around interoperability and a proper security use case to approve your product as a Citrix Ready Secure Remote Access product. And once that's done, you can leverage a lot of technical marketing benefits which we'll offer as a part of this program. So the important point is your product should fall under one of these five categories, and the second point is it should be compatible with any of the Citrix's product. Next slide. So this is how you could get started. So we'll be sending out a link. We'll be sending out an email with a registration link to sign up for this program. Once we receive your registration, we'll reach out to you. We'll do if you're already a Citrix Ready partner, and if you already have a Citrix Ready product, uh, we uh, we want to ensure that it's validated with the latest version of Citrix's product. So that would be the next step for Citrix Ready partners. For somebody who's new to Citrix Ready, will help you onboard you into the Citrix Ready program by helping you with the validation process, and then once you're qualified, we'll do a lot of joint promotional activities. So just to reiterate, vendors who will join uh, this program will work with us to integrate or interoperate your products with Citrix solutions and ensure that they perform with the proper security use case. And and you'll also be benefit from a robust marketing plan, which includes a joint collateral, demand generation activities, content marketing, and many more, which I have it in the next slide. So these are some of the joint promotions for partners and vendors who qualify for this program. The main So we'll be doing a joint solution brief with all of the vendors who get selected. Uh, the solution brief would highlight a business use case and will detail how Citrix and your solution together can address that security use case for enterprises. So additional marketing benefits would be so all these resources or solution briefs would be which we create would go under a unique a resource library, which will market through lead gen campaigns by TechTarget or other similar agencies. We'll also do a joint webinar or a podcast. We'll give the choice for you to choose which one you would like to do. And we'll also do a handy infographic which highlights the joint solution. Next slide, please. So this is the link which you could use to sign up for the program. We'll be sending out the link through the email as well. But if you'd like to sign up right away, you could use bit.ly/cr-SRA. The last day to sign up for the deadline to sign up for the program would be February 20th. We'll stop taking registrations after that. And the plan is to select and qualify and work with enough partners so that we could do some announcements at our customers at our customer conference in May, and that would be Synergy. So the deadline is Feb 20th. Please sign up, and if you do have any questions around the registration or the qualification criteria, please feel free to drop an email at ready.citrix.com. Yeah, so we are open for Q&A now. Just browsing through the questions panel. So one of the questions we have is there any cost involved to join or qualify for the program? The answer is no. Citrix Ready would be taking care of all the expenses related to the verification or the copywriting part of the solution brief. So there is no cost involved. The second question I have is, will I get any technical help in terms of software, Citrix software or licenses during the validation process? The answer is yes. Once you sign up for the program, we'll reach out to you. We'll have a kickoff call with you to understand your requirements and if there's any requirement related to softwares and licenses, we'll be providing you access to our software and NFR licenses. The third question I have is I'm a Citrix Ready partner. I have my product already in Citrix Ready marketplace, but my product is not validated with latest version of Citrix virtual apps and desktops. How do I proceed? The answer is we highly recommend that your product is validated with the latest version of Citrix's product. Only then we could proceed with the next steps to qualify you into the program. So if you need any help knowing the latest version or how to proceed with the verification, please reach out to us. We'll help you with that as well. So with that said, I think those are the 3 questions we got today. I see a few attendees asking if the webinar is recorded and will it be shared. To answer that question, yes, we will share the recording with all the attendees and registrants within a day or two to your registered email addresses. Florin, any final thoughts?
No, that was great. Thank you, Neil, for the opportunity.
Great. Thanks very much, Florin, for joining in. I think that was a fantastic presentation, and I look forward to working with you and many of the partners and vendors who would be interested in participating in this Citrix Ready Secure Remote Access Program. With that said, I want to thank everyone who made some time to join today's webinar, and that shall conclude today's broadcast. Thank you so much.